They're handing the pen to the machines. That explosive outcry, echoed by technology skeptics across the globe, captures the essence of one of the most controversial announcements in the social media world today. The platform formerly known as Twitter, now simply called X, has declared its intention to let artificial intelligence craft its community notes. Immediately, people everywhere have begun to wonder, will this bold move usher in a glorious new era of fact-checking, or could the entire platform spiral into chaos? Today, we are diving headfirst into this story to uncover the powerful ambitions behind X's new initiative, the hopes that AI-driven systems can expand community notes faster than ever, and the looming anxieties that come with letting software handle the reins of truth and accountability. What does this mean for the living, breathing community of contributors who, until now, have shaped these notes with human caution and nuance? Are we barreling into a precarious relationship between user trust and automated oversight? And perhaps most critically of all, how will the unwavering logic of linear code handle the messy, emotional world of online communication? In this episode, prepare for a twisty journey through the corridors of social media governance. We will probe X's official statements to see how this pilot program is unfolding. We will examine why some experts believe that harnessing AI for community notes might unleash a flood of misinformation, while others see it as the ultimate safeguard against half-truths. And we will talk about the developer tools being deployed, the questions swirling around potential censorship or bias, and the glimpses of human oversight that might remain in place or be overshadowed entirely. The story begins with X unveiling its new pilot program and the developer tools that will allow artificially intelligent agents, called AI note writers, to craft and propose community notes. If you've not heard much about community notes, it is a feature that helps flag potentially misleading content on social media. Previously, real people volunteered to create these clarifications or corrections. Now, X is effectively saying that it wants to multiply the speed and scope of these notes by inviting AI to help generate them. Imagine that you log on to the platform and see a hilarious meme making a bold, questionable claim. In the past, if you flagged it, a group of volunteer contributors might write a short note explaining the truth behind the meme. With the new system, an AI algorithm could potentially churn out that note in a matter of seconds. No time-consuming debates or personal biases to slow it down. That is the official promise. A rapid-scaled solution to questionable content fueled by advanced technologies that can rummage through data, parse language with lightning speed, and produce a concise summary faster than you can blink. But let's not ignore the rumble of ominous thunder in the background. Many social media watchers have pointed out the dangers of improper AI oversight. Datasets can be skewed, training regimens can be flawed, and the algorithm's definition of acceptable or abusive content is only as good as what humans have taught it. In an age where machine learning can sometimes pick up prejudice or errors from the masses, the idea of an automated system writing official clarifications raises all kinds of anxieties. Could these machine-written notes accidentally double down on falsehoods? Could they unleash subtle or overt biases when the technology is not yet perfect? And will the speed of notes creation overshadow a crucial ingredient in the formula, thoughtful human deliberation? According to X's own announcement, any AI note writer must undergo approval before its notes can see the light of day. There is a test mode first. The system tries its hand at writing replies, presumably on real messages, but those replies stay behind the scenes while an open-source automated note evaluator measures the accuracy and relevance of each attempt. If the AI flunks, back to the drawing board it goes, refining its approach until it can produce responses the evaluator finds on-topic, calm, unbiased, and informative. Yet the pressing question remains, how exactly does that open-source evaluator measure on-topic relevance, or determine what qualifies as harassment or abuse? The official X blog post claims it is all built on the historical input of real volunteer contributors. But is a backlog of prior judgments guaranteed to steer the AI in the right direction, or might it cause repeated mistakes as the system duplicates errors from the past? This initiative carries a clear risk. If the initial dataset has inherent biases, because no dataset is ever perfect, then the AI's judgments might become calcified illusions of correctness. Meanwhile, critics worry that unintentional bias or culturally narrow perspectives could be amplified on a scale never before seen. This is the tension at the heart of muscling artificial intelligence into the domain of communal checks and balances. Of course, from X's perspective, this marks an exciting leap forward. The platform touts a major advantage. The immediate reactions of human users can feed back into the system, rating the AI's clarifications as helpful or unhelpful. Over time, the argument goes, the AI will become more accurate and less prone to random errors. The vision is that persistent feedback from the broader community will mold artificial intelligence into a kind of perfect watchdog, shining a bright light on questionable content. In theory, it is an appealing notion. Harness the wisdom of masses not just to create posts themselves, but to refine the very machine that acts as the site's editor and moral compass. But is that wise? Could it be that we are offloading our scrutiny of misleading content onto a machine in such a way that the average person eventually thinks, "Oh, the system will handle it, I don't need to do much"? Could complacency set in, letting us ignore suspicious claims while trusting that the AI is diligently filtering out the nonsense? We are venturing into a time when knowledge curation is no longer purely driven by people reading and thinking, but also by lines of code sifting and sorting on our behalf. Before we reveal some of the more astonishing twists in this developing story, if you find yourself intrigued by these issues, artificial intelligence, the future of social media, and how we navigate the labyrinth of online truth, do not forget to show your support. If you enjoy exploring these complexities as much as I do, then consider sharing this journey with friends, or giving your own subtle nod. It is a small but meaningful gesture that keeps this conversation alive. Now, let us forge ahead. We must reflect on how X's plan includes transparency measures. All AI written community notes will be labeled as such. The idea is to ensure that whenever you see a note clarifying or rebutting a post, you will know whether it was penned by a real person or by an AI system. This transparency is designed to prevent confusion. Nobody wants to blur the line to the extent that users do not recognize the source of their content. Yet, we can already imagine discussions swirling around the disclaimers. If the label reads, "This note was generated by an AI," will that reduce trust in the note's content, or enhance it if we assume an AI might be more objective? Some admire the new labeling step, while others fear it might become a scarlet letter of suspicion. Further complicating the matter, X has stated that for now, AI will only be allowed to create notes on posts that specifically request community input. This ensures that not every single post is swarmed by algorithmic responses. Meanwhile, the platform strongly hints that these AI helpers might eventually enjoy broader powers, depending on how well the pilot program proceeds. If the initial wave of AI notes is well received, it could be just a matter of time before the system actively suggests clarifications or expansions on countless posts, possibly overshadowing or competing with the notes from human contributors. Some watchers are cautiously optimistic. They highlight the possibility that AI might handle straightforward clarifications more effectively than humans, especially in cases where a claim can be fact-checked with publicly available data. Simple matters, like verifying the date of a historical event or the direct quote from a specific speech, could become less of a time-consuming burden on volunteer fact-checkers. After all, an AI note writer can comb through digital archives at breakneck speed. By outsourcing such short tasks to an AI, the argument goes, the real people in the contributor base could focus on more delicate or nuanced judgments. But there is a flip side. Complicated social or cultural disputes rarely fit neatly into a dictionary lookup. The complexity of a situation, the intangible emotions at play, or the historical context that might vary widely from one cultural group to another, those things are not always easy for an AI to parse. Even with the best training, an AI can replicate harmful stereotypes or attempt to apply rigid definitions to topics that are so fluid and morally ambiguous. That is precisely why skeptics claim that X is taking a massive gamble. Community notes have become an important tool for building trust on the platform, offering clarity when rumors swirl and misinformation runs rampant. Handing that tool to an AI might accelerate the process, but also threatens to undermine the personal touch that gave the clarifications their credibility. Meanwhile, other corners of the internet have erupted with curiosity over what this pilot program means for the broader tech landscape. Some see it as a possible blueprint for how other major networks might integrate AI-based moderation or content annotation. Already, we have glimpses of AI-based auto-moderation on various platforms that can detect spam or explicit imagery, but the notion of an AI generating explanatory text, rather than simply removing questionable content, feels like a step into new territory. If X can demonstrate that this approach streamlines the fight against misinformation, we could see a domino effect where other social media giants follow suit. Alternatively, if this experiment goes awry, it may scare others off from giving AI so much responsibility. One important detail in X's announcement is that all AI note writing will be thoroughly rated by the same crowd of users who historically weigh in on standard notes. The rating system allows the platform to see if people across different viewpoints and backgrounds find the note helpful. If there is strong disagreement, the note might not see public release at all. In theory, each AI note must generate consensus among a representative pool of raters, which should weed out not only misinformation, but also potentially offensive or irrelevant content. Yet, as we all know, consensus can be tricky to achieve. People disagree on everything from climate data to the nature of satire, and now we are adding an AI perspective into the mix. We must also not discount the sheer magnitude of content that floods social media every hour. X's position is that AI is the only tool robust enough to keep pace with the constant stream of posts. So the argument goes, either we trust technology to help us maintain quality standards at scale, or we accept that we will never truly quell the tide of half-truths. The unstoppable flow of data demands an equally unstoppable mechanism for verification. Nevertheless, many will point out that speed is only as valuable as accuracy, and a system that can swiftly produce numerous erroneous clarifications could do more harm than good. Now, let us pivot to a more human angle. Imagine for a moment the frustration of long-time volunteer note writers. They have invested effort in meticulously crafting disclaimers, verifying sources, and engaging with each other in the notes discussion, threads to reach a consensus. Suddenly, they might feel overshadowed by an automated system that can churn out 100 potential notes in the time it takes a person to type a single paragraph. Will the arrival of these AI note writers lead to a decline in volunteer involvement? Or, contrarily, might these volunteers become even more crucial as they moderate or refine the AI's output? The indefinite answer to that question highlights the shifting power dynamics at play. The company insists that humans remain in charge, but the mechanics of the pilot program reveal that automation is weaving deeper into the very soul of the platform. Here's where the story takes another dramatic turn: the presence of open-source code for evaluating the AI's content. Developers of all stripes, from hobbyists to academic researchers and large-scale analytics firms, will have the opportunity to inspect that code, perhaps even improve it, or maybe discover vulnerabilities. While that could enhance transparency, something user advocates have demanded for years, it also might offer a fertile ground for those with questionable motives to manipulate how the AI interprets data or writes responses. We have all seen how even the simplest open-source projects occasionally get hijacked by malicious actors. Could something similar happen here, with catastrophic effects on the reliability of the entire system? Furthermore, we find ourselves repeating the constant refrain of modern technology watchers. Who holds the ultimate responsibility when the AI gets it wrong? The pilot program suggests that if an AI note is found to be inaccurate or damaging, it can be removed. But by then, how many thousands of people might have read that note and been influenced? There is little recourse from the AI itself. An algorithm does not apologize with sincerity, nor does it suffer reputational damage. The onus quickly falls back on the platform to either patch the AI or suppress further questionable notes. Meanwhile, reputational damage to the platform can accumulate, and public trust can corrode over time. Another looming question is how we define what counts as harassment or abuse. Even as the announcement tries to reassure us that an automated process will detect such language and filter it out of potential notes, that detection is historically prone to all sorts of false positives and false negatives. Subtle forms of harassment can slip by an AI that is taught to look for overt slurs or insults. Irony and sarcasm can be misread. Conversely, the AI might erroneously label entirely benign commentary as hateful. This tension underscores how tricky it is to rely on automated solutions for content moderation, especially in the realm of user-generated replies that aim to clarify sensitive or polarized topics. Yet there is something undeniably thrilling about the prospect. Imagine that an AI might offer a clarifying note on an inflammatory post about a hot-button topic. Maybe it's something regarding global politics or a high-profile public figure. In a perfect scenario, the AI is robust, balanced, and grounded in verifiable data. It provides a concise summary of the factual details, cites relevant sources, and helps calm the digital environment. Such a scenario could be a dream come true for those who are exhausted by the never-ending swirl of rumor and speculation. Harnessed properly, AI might supply a level of quick clarity that human volunteers simply cannot match at scale. If it works well, public discourse could take a step forward. But there is another possibility altogether, a scenario in which the AI churns out a subtle misrepresentation that draws from biased or partial data. The note is posted and even garners a decent rating, undermining the real truth of the matter. Over time, these micro-falsehoods could accumulate, weaving an ever more distorted reflection of reality. At that point, we might realize that, ironically, the system set up to clarify misinformation has itself become an unwitting participant in the spread of questionable narratives. If you are still here, captivated by these tangled threads of possibility, I appreciate your curiosity. Moments like this highlight the need for community-driven discussions and shared vigilance. And if you are finding genuine value in exploring this conversation, take a moment to reflect on how you can contribute. Perhaps you have stories to share about AI or experiences with user-generated content. Your feedback could spark further insight. Whether you do so quietly or with a public show of support, it helps keep investigations like these alive. Let us also not forget the broader context. The appetite for speedy, automated solutions is sky-high in the digital marketplace. Platforms are fighting for user trust, and misinformation is a top reason that trust can plummet. In some sense, X's move is logical. If AI can deliver clarifications in near real time, it might keep misinformation from spreading unchecked. At the same time, fear ripples through the corridors of social media watchers, concerned that any misguided automation could have devastating effects. People in the academic field echo these sentiments, warning that letting AI take the wheel in informational spaces calls for extremely careful oversight. Still, X insists that humans remain in charge, a statement meant to quell anxieties. The claim is that final approval rests with flesh and blood volunteer contributors and that the pilot program is but an initial experiment. But we all know how these experiments can grow beyond their initial scope once the platform sees immediate benefits. On one hand, it might delight the user base to see more intelligent, speedy clarifications of questionable posts. On the other, we might see the creeping erosion of human editorial input, replaced by lines of code that replicate biases and illusions of neutrality at scale. In that sense, the pilot program is not just about forging new tools. It is also about testing the boundaries of what the digital public is willing to accept. Another angle people are pondering is how the labeling of AI notes might affect the platform's culture of discourse. When you read a note that starts with, "This note was generated by an AI," might you be more or less receptive to the message that follows? For those who believe that advanced algorithms are more impartial than humans, an AI label might lend greater credibility. Others see a risk that people will tune out AI-sourced clarifications automatically, thinking that they lack empathy or real expertise. The friction between these two perspectives is precisely why user sentiment and rating become so pivotal. That rating system acts as a kind of alignment mechanism, forcing the AI to adapt to the community's sense of correctness. But let us not forget, community sentiment can be swayed by popular but scientifically incorrect beliefs as well. In raising these concerns, we are not offering a simple condemnation of the initiative. Indeed, as many have pointed out, AI can bring enormous benefits, particularly in an information landscape as enormous and fast-paced as the one we live in. The dream of quickly dispelling viral hoaxes or inaccurate news is powerful. If the pilot program's introduction of AI-driven clarifications goes smoothly, we could see a new model for co-creating an online environment that fosters greater accountability. The synergy of crowdsourced rating and automated analysis may yield a truly robust system for confirming factual claims. That synergy, if achieved, might well become the standard for digital platforms worldwide. However, the word "if" hangs ominously in the air. Faulty datasets, incomplete training, or manipulative prompts could derail the entire enterprise. And beyond those purely technical pitfalls, there are philosophical questions about whether handing such responsibilities to a machine distances us from the messy but vital human process of collectively negotiating truth. Already, chatter arises that part of the platform's soul might be lost as we remove even more of the personal dimension from knowledge curation. Some note writers thrived on the sense of community and shared purpose that came from live debate, from forging consensus among contributors with different backgrounds. We are left with a kind of gamble that the engineers at X are presumably comfortable taking. The bet is that AI will expand the breadth of community notes, making them more accessible, more visible, and more quickly distributed. In exchange for that scale, we risk partial loss of nuance, context, or emotional intelligence that only humans can provide. X appears to believe the trade-off is worthwhile, with a robust safety net. The pilot stage, the open-source evaluator, the rating system, and the personal involvement of volunteer contributors. Time will tell if that is enough. So, as we bring this deep dive to a close, what can we take from all of this? Firstly, technology's march toward deeper integration with public discourse is unstoppable, and X's pilot program is just the latest chapter in that ongoing narrative. Secondly, new tools can lead to new growth, but also to new challenges that require our vigilant attention. And thirdly, the debate over misinformation is not going away, it is evolving. In letting AI author community notes, X has staked its claim to a future in which artificial intelligence and human feedback mingle in the service of truth. Will that future be bright, with well-informed communities and ever-present reality? Or will it be a labyrinth where algorithmic illusions clash with scattered human oversight, leaving everyday users disoriented and uncertain? The only certainty is that we have stepped onto a new frontier. The next phase of this experiment unfolds any moment now, and we, as a society, hold the power to shape its outcome through engagement, scrutiny, and the choices we make in how we participate in these digital arenas. Thanks for joining me on this exploratory journey. There are no simple answers, but conversations like these lay the groundwork for informed decisions. May we keep our eyes open, our questions sharp, and our sense of responsibility intact as we navigate this shifting terrain. After all, the real force that shapes social media is always the synergy between technology and its human architects. Let us see where that synergy takes us next.